They had gone to an all-you-could-eat buffet for supper that night so that they could fill their stomachs before they went off to the mission. And the next day, they grabbed breakfast on the go. Cat and Tinkermon had met up with Starmon and rode Buffalo back towards where they needed to go. Meanwhile, Lucas and Gizamon had met up with Gonkamon and left on Trailmon Franken to get to where they needed to go as well. Nicole and Kuzuhamon had taken the older model Trailmon C89 to get to Primary Village, though it was a bit slower than the others that he was used to riding on. They did have the car all to themselves. He was resting his head in her lap as his Digimon girlfriend was playing with his hair, and the two relaxed on the ride over to Primary Village. Kuzuhamon had asked more about his human world and family. Our main Digidestin then told her about his family and how the ring on his necklace goes to the firstborn, which is why he has it, and it's been that way for the past 5 generations. Kuzuhamon looked a little confused, and so he tried to explain a little better, going on to tell her that it belonged to his dad before it was given to him, and his dad before that, and before that his mom, and her father before her. She seemed to understand that a bit better, it would seem, and so they continued talking together until they did eventually reach the Primary Village. The two then climbed out of the car and began walking on over to greet the caretakers of the village of baby Digimon. They looked sort of like teenage girls, but one was wearing white and the other was wearing black. Kuzuhamon greeted her friends, introducing them as Sistermon Blanc and Sistermon Noir. Nicole then introduced himself to the two, saying that he was there to answer their request on the guild wall. They seemed thankful to hear that, saying that it was getting difficult to look after so many little ones when they are being attacked by Digimon. Our main Digidestin then told them that he'd do a sweep of the area while they caught up, and began heading off with a small white and purple Digimon that had a red gem in their head following him, though the girls didn't seem to notice. Once outside, Nicole asked who they were, and the little Digimon told them that his name was Kulamon. Nicole asked just what they were up to, and Kulamon had said that he'd never seen a human in real life before, so they wanted to go with him and learn more. Nodding, he said that they could go, but they had to get back inside if anything happened. The little Digimon happily agreed to that and nodded, wanting to help and get to know the human. They checked around the area with Kulamon asking him all kinds of questions and Nicole answering them as best he could, but soon the others came looking for Kulamon, finding him talking to Nicole, and told the little Digimon that was enough bothering, though Nicole says that it's no bother at all. It kinda reminds him of his sister when she was little, so full of questions. They then heard heavy footsteps and saw what looked like a giant beast coming towards them, with Noir telling Blanc to get the Digitama and babies inside. Nicole then told Kuzuhamon to help gather them all inside. Nodding, Blanc and Kuzuhamon took as many children and Digitama as they could, getting them inside as heavy footsteps grew closer, and Noir changed into her awakened form, with Nicole then digivolving into Shotonekomon. There were a bunch of blue ogre-like creatures that began to rush from the forest to attack, with Nicole and Sistermon Noir taking out as many as they could. Noir had called them Hugamon. There didn't seem to be an end to them, and they were slowly starting to become overwhelmed as Nicole continued to absorb their data as he destroyed the Hugamon, and began to glow after absorbing several of them, and in his hands appeared a pair of black-barreled semi-automatic pistols with silver handles. Shotonekomon said that was new, as he'd never been able to summon weapons before, but he didn't feel as though he digivolved. Kind of confused. Sistermon Noir then told him that Digimon sometimes develop new powers as they grow stronger. It's possible that he's reached a high enough stat to gain a new ability. That did make sense to him, and he fired off the guns, taking out one of the Hugamon with a single shot, saying that he's loving this. With the new power, he was able to take them down a lot easier, and decided to have some fun with the last one, striking them with his Shota Enigma, sending them skyward, then began blasting them repeatedly in rapid-fire succession with his new guns until they were so riddled with holes in their body that they began to break down into data particles and scattered to the wind. Think I'll call that my juggling struggling rain. Nicole spoke about the new technique he developed before looking down at his guns and continuing to say, "And you two are now the Ebony Duo." Sister Mon Noir said that sounded cool as they heard heavy footsteps getting closer to them and they could see a large rounded outline shadow of something coming closer to them. Nicole questioned what they had to deal with now as they were at the ready for whatever might come their way and Sister Mon Noir said that she wasn't sure. The steps grew louder and louder as the ground began to shake under them and Nicole gave the area around them a once-over to make sure everything was safe. Thankfully, Kuzuhamon and Sister Mon Blanc had managed to get all of the children and Digitama inside, where they would hopefully be safe. The creature grew closer as it began to take form, coming into focus, and what they were waiting to appear, well, is kind of a letdown. "Is that a giant penguin?" Nicole questioned, looking confused. As to the creature that had appeared, Noir had told him that this creature was Daipenmon. Though he didn't look impressed, he was still cautious to what this thing could do.